I am Greg Stanley. I'm a current member of Phantom Airborne. I've worn a lot of different hats while I've been here in my 3 years. I have been the secretary at one point. I am a current jump master. I do media and all the digital creation for Phantom Airborne, and essentially help out just about anywhere that I can. My military experience was back in the 90s. It was a little bit short-lived. I was in, just 4 years, but I grew up in a family of paratroopers, and all I ever wanted to do was be a paratrooper. Fast forward some 26 years later, I discovered Phantom online. And I told my wife, I said, I just want to do it again. I just want to do it one more time. And, I'm figuring, I'm in my 40s. These guys are going to laugh at me when I get out there. They're going to be like, who's this old guy? And I show up and I find out that actually I'm the youngest guy there. These guys from day one, they just kind of welcomed me, just like I was one of the guys. I remember that first jump like it was yesterday. And I remember, hitting that drop zone, walking off, and I told my wife, I said, I'm coming back. And I have not missed a jump in the over 3 years that I've been here. I've been at every single jump for 3 years. Phantom is a huge part of my life, for sure. I was a couple of months into it, and I know they were asking for volunteers to do various things. I was kind of struggling with trying to find out what I could contribute to Phantom, but also keeping in mind that I was the new guy around here still. I volunteered to head up all of our shoot shakeout for a water jump. I did that for a little while. I just kind of fell into the media thing. Like I said earlier, I asked if I could put a camera on the wing of the aircraft, and then it was like, now what do I do with this footage? And I just started figuring out how to put little videos together and give guys pictures of their exits and so on and so forth. I've always said that being here at Phantom, if you want to volunteer, the best thing that you can do is find your niche, find what you want to do, find what you think you are good at and where you can contribute the most. It's when somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, I need you to do this job, usually that's okay, I'll do it. But you don't do it because you love it. When you find something that you like, find something that you're good at and somewhere you fit in, your volunteer becomes a little more worthwhile to you. Sometimes we have to push people and prod them into it, and then once they get into it, they're like, okay, I'm here. Other people, they can't wait to volunteer from the second they get here, and so we have to physically find a place for them. What can you do best? How can you help us? Currently, right now, I am a jump master. That is my passion. I love being a jump master. Having the responsibility and having these guys trust me to put them out of an aircraft and do it safely, is huge to me. It's paramount. And if I did nothing else here at Phantom besides be a jumper, then jump master and jumper, I would put above all else. But now I'm doing public affairs, all of our digital media, all of our video work. I handle all of our social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Our YouTube channel, I handle all that, and I categorize and save all of our footage from all of our events. Most weeks I spend more time working on Phantom than I do my own full-time job. Yeah, and that's not just me. You got guys like Lucian, he's the same way. I used to be in his position. I used to be the secretary here, and I know how much work the guy's killing it, and I'm glad that honestly that I don't have to do it anymore, that we have guys like him who step up and go, all right, I'm the guy. Yeah, he does a very good job. And what I'll say out of that is, I get asked all the time from friends and family, why do you do that? Why do you put in so much work and so much effort into Phantom? And I always tell them that I get more out of Phantom than I put into it, and I put a lot into it, but I get more out of this place than I ever put into it. People ask me about the veterans here at Phantom, and this is what I tell them all the time. I've been saying this for quite a while. So it takes a special person to jump out of a perfectly good airplane when your country asks you to do it. It really does. It takes guts. But to do it simply because you love it, That's a completely different paratrooper and a completely different veteran. And these guys out here, they're not out here because someone has tapped them and said, hey, we need you to jump out of this airplane, or we're paying you so you come on. These guys want to be here because they love being a paratrooper. And I relate to them on that level. I definitely relate. Like I said, I grew up in a family of paratroopers. You know, being here is a cool thing for me. You know, I'm a guy who's pushing 50 years old, and I'm still jumping out of airplanes. Now, everybody in my life, other than my wife, thinks I am absolutely out of my mind. But you come out here and you meet these guys, and you hang out with these guys, and for what I get out of it, you know, besides the jumping out of the airplane part, I mean, it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it. If today was my last jump, die happy, man. I'm 50 years old and I'm living my best life, you know. We had this conversation today, my wife and I. When you're in your 20s and you turn 30, you're like, oh my God, I can't be young anymore. Now in my 30s, I gotta be a responsible adult. When you turn 40, you know, they get the quote is, you're over the hill, right? And that life is kind of downhill after that. You know, I'm in my 40s, I'm 49, almost 50, and I'm living my best life right now, you know? And it's because of this place. It's because of this place. What I find that people relate to the most here at Phantom is that we all served at different times, you know. Some guys just serve a couple of years, some guys serve 30 years. But what we all have in common is that when we get out, you're like, I'm done with the military. You get out and you spend years feeling like something's missing from your life, you know. Do you miss getting up at, you know, 5 a.m. and running? No, you don't miss that. That's not something that you miss. You know, do you miss being drug all around the world? No, you don't miss something like that. Do you miss being away from your family and deployed? No, you don't miss stuff like that. And you don't know what it is. You don't know what you miss. But guys show up here, myself included. You spend a little bit of time around here. You develop friendships with some of these guys, and you become part of this organization. And then the light bulb goes off in your head. You're like, this is what I was missing. This is what my life has been missing. And that's why guys gravitate towards this organization, because they find something that they've been missing, whether they've been missing it for the last 5 years or the last 30 years. You know, they come here and it's just like, it's eye-opening for them, whether they're just volunteering or whether they're jumpers or, you know, whatever it is. You know, you can see it from these new guys when they walk off the drop zone. Their first jump with Phantom. They walk off the drop zone, you look them in the eye, and I make it a special point to walk up to every one of them and go, how was your jump? How was your jump? And just about every single one of them will tell you things like, oh my God, I can't wait to do this again. Awesome. You know, this was amazing. I'll share a story with you from the last water jump, right? So, you know, we have a ton of people out there. We don't know all of those. Some of those guys, it's just their first time coming here. I've never met them before. I couldn't tell you anything about them, you know? So I'm standing on the shoreline in the afternoon next to the quartermaster tent, and I'm standing there, still have my jump master shirt on, and this guy walks up to me and he says, hey, I just wanted to shake your hand and tell you thank you for today. He said, you were my jump master today and you put me out. And I'm like, oh man, did you have a good jump, you know? And he says, today was life-changing. And I'm like, cool, man, I hear that all the time. He says, no, you don't understand. He says, he points to the guy next to him, little frail old guy. And he says, this is my dad. He says, he is, I think he said like 86 years old, something like that. He says, my dad and I are both paratroopers. And he said, we both jumped today with each other. And I'm like, man, that is so cool. You jumped with your dad. Now, this guy's probably around my age. He's probably around 50 years old. His dad is in his 80s, you know. And this little old guy who's like, oh my gosh, this was so awesome. He shakes my hand, and he kind of walks away to talk to his buddies or whatever. And his son stays there next to me, and he says, this changed our life today. And I'm like, man, that's great. I hear that all the time. You know, I appreciate that story. That's so cool. He says, you know, my dad's health isn't very good and his age is up there. He says, both of us got picked up by the same boat out in the water. He said, we pulled up to the shore, and he says, my dad walked over to me, he says, thanks for my swan song. You know, and he said, I looked at my dad and said, no, this isn't your swan song. This is a new beginning for us. And I was like, see, that's why I do this. And he says, we'll be back. We'll be back. He said, we can't wait to do it again. You know, stuff like that.
That's awesome.
You know, a few years ago, we decided that on one of these water jumps, we wanted to put out a paraplegic. We had a paraplegic come to us, and one of the rangers, and he says, will you guys put me out? And we were like, what? You know, a paraplegic? So I have developed friendships with some of those guys. Close personal friendships with those guys since I met them. And guys like that, to me, you know, who willingly will jump out of an aircraft with their limitations. I mean, I know what it takes to jump out of an airplane. I know that it takes guts. I know what it takes, you know, some real balls to do what we do just for fun. And these guys they're paralyzed, you know. One guy in particular, he has use of one arm.
Wow.
One arm, and he jumps out of an airplane willingly. He is on this November water jump. He will earn his Phantom jump wings with his 5th jump with us.
Wow.
I mean, really, think about that. Just the courage that that guy has to jump out of the aircraft with one arm. He steers with one arm, and he can't swim, and he's terrified of water. And he does it willingly. He is so proud to earn his Phantom wings. I mean, I earned my wings. All of these guys earned their 5 jumps with him, and that's a big deal at our age to be able to just say, "Well, I just earned my jump wings again at 50 or 60 years old." He earns his jump wings with Phantom in November, and he asked me to pin him, and I couldn't be more proud. You know.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. That's the type of people we have here at Phantom. It's kind of cool. When I first came here, we couldn't even fill up the Twin Otter aircraft. We were canceling jumps because we couldn't even get enough people to fill up those jumps. Where a lot of this came from was social media. You know, believe it or not, at my age, I'm one of the younger guys here, right?
Yeah.
So we were trying to drum up and talk about how can we get more people to come out. And I said, listen, these videos that I've been making for the guys and stuff like that, and I got all these photos and all this footage, would you guys let me start up a social media campaign? Social media was completely over the head of most of those guys. I said, let me start up a social media campaign. I'll get us our own Instagram page. I'll get us our own, you know, TikTok page. I'll set us up, you know, on YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff. And they were like, sure. And I explained to them, listen, social media is a weird thing. Either you get no traction and it's a waste of your time, or it blows up. And it took a lot of time and a ton of work on all of our social media, but here within the last 6 months, like, all of our social media is just it's blossomed. Our social media is all exploded. I mean, we have millions of views on TikTok. We have thousands and thousands of people come and watch our YouTube videos, you know, and our Instagram was picked up by one of the big airborne paraphernalia manufacturers the other day. On Instagram, they shared one of our videos from the water jump. Millions of views, thousands of followers. I mean, stuff like that has really got us out into the public eye a lot. I field questions constantly all day long about how can I jump? What's your website? You know, can I jump? What qualifications do I need? When is your next jump? What's your website? You know, so on and so forth. And I spend so much time doing that, but it has put us out to a very, very, very large audience. And the name Phantom is well known now for stuff like that. And, you know, we see these guys pouring in droves. So we had a guy come up just yesterday and it was like, I found you guys on TikTok. My wife helped me with it for probably 2 years, and we got zero traction on all of it. It was just like, you know, it was Phantom members following our pages. And then, you know, just kind of like overnight, it just blew up. And it was like, okay, what do we do with this? Now, every single jump we have is completely filled up. I mean, everything is sold out within a matter of minutes. Kind of towards the end of last year, we started putting together, we had a night jump, a day-night jump put together. that went really quick. We actually have in Titusville, that's Phantom DZ up there. The second we opened that up, I mean, it was sold just like that. Anytime I opened a jump, it was sold just like that. Our water jumps, of course, those are our biggest attraction. I mean, tomorrow our water jump goes on sale, 200 parachutes. Brian was saying it'll be sold out in 24 hours. I promise you the entire thing will be sold out in an hour. Within an hour, the entire jump will be sold out. We have thousands of people contacting us constantly trying to figure out how they can get on that manifest.
Wow.
And they come from all over the United States and all over the world. We have jumpers come from all over the world to come jump with us. It's a cool thing to see. You know, I know that we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot by doing all this promotion because, you know, it just means more work for all these guys who are already overworked and,
Sure.
you know,
But could be more
underpaid.
volunteers and
Yeah, it could.
support.
And that's how we've been getting so many guys lately. We've had guys show up who say, hey man, I'm an Army rated jump master. You know, I just got out 5 years ago. What can I do to help? Guys like that just come out of the woodwork all of a sudden. Before, we could not get enough volunteers. Now we're getting volunteers all over the place, you know. The guys wanting to help with everything from I can help pack parachutes or I can help you guys load trucks to, you know, I'm a jump master instructor. I can help with that. You know, and honestly, we need help with every single thing we do. Because this is a huge undertaking. And what you're looking at right here, these guys do the lion's share of the work. You know, what you see sitting here is the, you know, between Brian and Lucian and Chris, you know, that's where most of the work is done. 3 years ago, man, we couldn't even fill up that Twin Otter aircraft out there. I can tell you that, of course, the Tycho Bell is a huge draw. You know, everybody wants to jump that aircraft. I can point to specific jumps where we brought the Tycho Bell in and we couldn't even fill that thing up. I think I was jumping for about 5 months before I even saw the Tycho Bell. I'd been here, like I said, about 5 months, and guys kept saying things like, if you think this is fun, wait till we bring in the C-47. Wait till we bring in the C-47. That came from our airborne ancestors, okay? So when the paratroopers first came into existence, that's what they were jumping from, was the C-47. So, like, I came from a paratrooper family. My grandfather was in the very first Airborne Ranger company ever formed. He jumped from a C-47. I spent my young years up until I went into the military going to his Airborne Ranger reunions with him. And I'll never forget the first time I saw a C-47. His reunion was at Fort Bragg. They took us over to the Airborne Museum there at Fort Bragg, and there was a C-47 parked outside. And he walked up to it and he looked at it and he said, this is what I used to jump out of. And I remember being absolutely infatuated. I'm like 12 years old.
That's cool.
And I was absolutely infatuated with that airplane because, you know, you see on TV paratroopers jumping from C-130s and, you know, 141s, and that's the image that everybody has in their head. But, you know, he showed me the C-47. He said, this is what we used to jump in from. And, you know, to bring in something like that and we get to follow in the shoes and the footsteps of our, you know, airborne ancestors, that is just, to me, that is such a cool thing about Tycho Bell, you know, or any C-47 for that matter. But, you know, like when I walk on Tycho Bell, you can just run your hand down it and you can feel it. You know, not to put too much of an emphasis on it, but I mean, like, you know, it means a lot to these guys. It means a lot. It's part of our lineage, our heritage, you know, our ancestry, you know, all of that good stuff. And that's what's so special about that C-47. It did multiple runs on D-Day, that Tycho Bell did. It ran 2 glider runs and then 3 separate paratrooper runs. It participated in an Operation Market Garden. You know, it saw a lot of action in World War II. I mean, all with the 82nd Airborne. So, and that's where probably 85% of these guys all come from. We're all from 82nd Airborne. All of us served at Fort Bragg mostly. There's nothing else in this world that I would rather do than to be a jump master. And that C-47. To me, that is the absolute coolest thing on this planet. I will be in that door every single time I have the opportunity. You never have to ask me twice. You know, to have that kind of responsibility, to be in control of that aircraft, to be responsible for, you know, all 22 guys that you're getting ready to put out, you know, to me, that's just the ultimate. And, you know, what I cherish more than anything is the respect of my paratroopers. What keeps me on my toes is making sure that I don't ever put them in a situation or do something that makes them question whether I should be a jump master or my skills as a jump master. You know, that to me, if I lost their respect, that would be like the most devastating thing in the world to me. It means the world to me. It really does. I mean, that's how much it means to me, and that's what it means to any of these guys who are wearing the red shirts. That's why they have the red shirts on, because it means something to them. Like Brian said, there's a lot of planning that goes into it before that most people don't even see. People see us out there doing all of our jump master duties on the day of jump, but they don't see all the planning that goes into it. We do a ton of training. You know, we make sure that all of us are on the same page. We all follow the SOP, and that, you know, no matter who is the jump master in the door, it's going to be exactly the same as the other guy. So, you know, there's never any variation whatsoever. But typical on a water jump day, we'll just use that for an example. Day starts about 3 a.m. We're out there very early. You know, we're getting everything set up, ready for our paratroopers to come in. Those guys come in. You know, we have their mains, their reserves, everything ready to go for them. Once we get everybody squared away with their equipment, typically we will go through sustained airborne training. You know, doing sustained airborne training for 150 guys at the same time can be a bit challenging. We go through all the way through landing to recovery to what your hazards are on the drop zone. Every airborne operation starts with sustained airborne training, every single one of them. So after that, you know, obviously we got guys that got to go put them in manifest order. After manifest order, we go through mock door training, and you know, mock door training go for 7 flights. That takes a while. That takes a lot of time, you know. And so, you know, we're moving and we're hustling. Before we get the first load off into the in the aircraft, I can honestly say that usually we've put in more work by that time than most of us put in a physical 8-hour day. Once we've got to that point, now we're going to go spend a day inside of an aircraft where it's 95 degrees outside. It's easy 115 degrees inside that. So usually after we've done 140 paratroopers or more, our day does not end. Now these guys will all hit the water, they're all on the shoreline, they're all cracking a beer, talking about their jump with their buddy, you know, and I did this and I went this way and did you know, we still have plenty of work to do. You know, there's after action reports that we have to do where we talk about every single thing that we did right, every single thing that we did wrong, where we can improve, and those are all things that are done day of jump, you know. Cleaning up, picking up the aircraft, I mean, just the small stuff. You know, getting all of our gear, putting it back in the box, taking all that stuff down, loading it all up, you know, and figuring out what do we do now, because to be honest with you, none of us leave there going, okay, well, I'm headed home. It's always, okay, where do we have to go to next? All right, now we have to go over to the warehouse and hang parachutes, you know, or we need to go meet with a city official, or I meet it over on the shoreline. So yeah, one of those jumps, it's 14 to 16 hour day for us easily. It takes every bit of energy that I have on those jump days, and I'm the type of guy where I will go and never quit. You know what I mean? And even on those days, it really tests me. Those guys get up there, they spend 20 minutes in the bird, and they're off in the water cooling off. You know, we are literally up there all day long. But again, we get more out of it than we put into it. Sure, that seems like a lot of work, and I'll be the first one to tell you that's a lot of work. You know, that's a lot of effort, and that's a lot of time, and the money that these guys, including myself, spend just to be a member at Phantom and to be here and to be a volunteer would blow your mind. None of these guys would ever boast about, oh man, guess how much money I put into Phantom and how much I spend here. You know, but I think that needs to be recognized. You know, you know, the money that anything that this organization needs, one of these guys, including myself, will step up and say, I got it, I got it. I got it. Doesn't come out of Phantom's funds, doesn't come out of our nonprofit. You know, every one of us will dig into our wallet, and if we can make it happen, we'll do it. You know, and that's a pretty cool thing. Again, we get more out of it than we put into it. Most nonprofits, somebody gets paid. Somewhere somebody gets paid. I can promise you that not a single person in this organization gets paid. Everybody's here because they want to be here, and that's what makes this a special place. But I mean, this is a really cool place, and that's why, you know, guys on the outside looking at us, they go, oh, that's cool, those guys jump out of airplanes, and look, they're wearing old Army uniforms and stuff like that. But as a member, once you get on the inside here, it's a different world, man. It's eye-opening. It's rewarding. It's fulfilling. My wife and I, we're empty nesters. We have nothing at home but us and our 2 dogs. This is what we pour our heart and soul into now. My only regret about Phantom is that I didn't find it years ago.
Sure.
I only came out here for 1 jump. I asked her, let me come out here for 1 jump. I jumped 1 time, and I knew.
Yeah.
Yep, I knew. She knew it too. She was like, you're going back, aren't you? And I said, not only am I going back, I got to figure out how to be a part of this organization. So
Okay.
to repack these parachutes is not cheap. So like jump fees that we charge today for each one of these, we do not have a profit margin in that at all.
Wow.
That paid for fuel and aircraft and repack fees. So we don't make money
Right.
on stuff like that. I mean, we rely heavily on things like donations and stuff like that. At Phantom, all of our members, our jumping members, are all military trained, airborne qualified. Sometimes we like to say veterans, but we also have active duty jumpers who jump with us quite often. So it's not just veterans, but we do have active duty all the time. So everyone who jumps with us must have completed U.S. Army Airborne School at Fort Benning, Georgia. There are other organizations out there who will train civilians or train veterans who are non-airborne qualified. That's what sets Phantom apart. We are America's oldest and only round canopy organization whose members are all military trained, airborne qualified. So to become a member is simple. You just go to our website, www.phantomairborne.us. You can upload your DD-214 right there that states your military service and that you are military trained, airborne qualified. Pick yourself a membership and then you become a member. It's very simple. Anybody who falls one of those parameters can be a member of Phantom. But to be a volunteer, anybody can be a volunteer. It doesn't matter if you're a civilian, if you're a veteran, doesn't matter. Anybody can be a volunteer. Don't let your time in service or your time away from service discourage you. It had been 26 years since I got out of the military and jumped out of an airplane before I even came out here. You do not have to be a jumper. You don't have to jump. We have plenty of guys who are volunteers who come out here. They're part of our organization. They're valued members of our, and I've never seen them jump out of an airplane myself. So if you're kind of on the fence about it, you don't have to come out here and be to be an active jumper. You can come out here, you can just hang out with the guys, you can be a volunteer. You could, just come out and see what we're about, because the camaraderie and the socializing with guys who are a like mindset it does wonders for your soul. It really does. My wife can attest to that. I'm a different person after I've been here. Completely different person. So all I would say to that is come out. Just come out and see what we're about. Just like in the military, if it's been more than 180 days since you've jumped, you have to go through basic airborne refresher. We also provide basic airborne refresher here. If it has been more than a year since you have jumped out of either an aircraft or jumped with Phantom, you'll attend basic airborne refresher. So we'll put you through it. We'll make sure that you remember it all. It will all come back to you. You will remember your training. We'll make sure that you're prepared. We're not just going to strap a parachute to you and throw you out of an airplane and say, good luck, buddy. We are a professional organization. We treat ourselves professionally. We abide by our SOPs, our standing operating procedures at all times. And we're not just going to throw guys to the wolves. We do sustained airborne training and basic airborne refresher before every single jump. Phantom Airborne is a special place. It's literally been a lifesaver for me. Yep. So we all go through different things in life. Sometimes our military experience or just personal things. But finding this place has done some pretty special things for guys. I know for myself, it really did a 180 for my life here. So that to me personally, that's what Phantom is. Phantom's a special place that does great things, not just for me or just individuals, but for veteran paratroopers as a whole.